How's it going, guys? JP back at you once again, bringing you guys another review. This time we are reviewing a 1984 slasher film that was just released on Blu-ray, and that is Satan's Blade. This is coming to us courtesy of Olive Films, partnering up with Slasher Video. This film opens up and we're following some bank robbers as they escape with a lot of money. Then we are kind of introduced to who they are. They start turning on each other, but then a killer who is unknown shows up and picks them off. Then we're kind of flash forward a few days and we're introduced to a new group of characters. We have a young group of college-age girls and a couple of married adults. So then these people show up at this resort where they want to kind of hang out and have a vacation, a weekend getaway. It's a ski resort. There behind the counter we have sort of a doomsayer, much like Crazy Ralph of Friday the 13th. They start going into the backstory of the town legend where there was this guy out in the wilderness, and there's a whole legend story behind him filled with murder and mayhem. They kind of warn the people that people have just died here a few days prior. They are a little bit shooken up, but they decide to stay anyway. They kind of unwind a bit. Then we have the two groups kind of meshing a bit. One of the younger girls is attracted to the older married man. There's sort of a little love triangle thing there. It doesn't really go anywhere, but it is kind of interesting. Oddly enough, I did find myself sort of invested into that weird little romance storyline. I'm normally not, but for some reason I just found it kind of different, and I wasn't really expecting it in a low-budget slasher film like this. Then the murders start happening, and that is kind of your story. I will say that this is a lower-tiered slasher film, very low budget. The kills are not very creative. Most of them happen off-screen, and most of them are done by a bladed weapon where you don't see a whole lot of gore. The acting in this film was solid. It was very above average in terms of the budget and what you usually see in these lower tiered slasher films. I thought it was very acceptable. I actually did enjoy some of these characters. They're not super memorable. There's not a whole lot of character development. There is a little bit for kind of the main characters, and then there's a lot of the background characters who are just kind of bodies for the body count to be a little bit higher. Those people, not interesting. I did find sort of the lead ones to be a little bit more interesting though. The mood and the atmosphere of the film is another high selling point because it kind of just has this winter, kind of dark, dreary, moody atmosphere that is very effective and definitely fits the slasher formula. There's a couple of scenes that are actually filmed very darkly. I actually like it. I almost like when you can't really see what's going on if it's done right, if it's supposed to be like that, which it was in this film, but you can still kind of see what's going on because it's in Blu-ray. I imagine if you watch this in the VHS era, it would just be totally black and fuzzy. And that kind of brings me to the Blu-ray itself. It looks great. It is in full screen, but it's very clear. It looks good. Obviously, it's, you know, old and scratched and things like that. The audio, in my opinion, isn't the greatest. I know Jeremy mentioned that in his review. There's a lot of hissing and sort of wheezing going on there. Overall, this film is a very average film. There's really not anything that makes it super unique. There is a cool dream sequence where you kind of are introduced to the killer. Unfortunately, it's not the real killer. I did think he looked kind of cool, so it does feel like a bit of a cop-out, but you know, it happens sometimes in these early slasher films. I thought it was okay. I wasn't mad at the film for doing that or anything like that. I found this film very enjoyable, and I like these type of films. But just because I like it doesn't mean that it's a good film. I do think that it's a very average film, even though I enjoyed it very much. I feel like I like weird things, so this one is right up my alley, but I think to the average person, it is a little boring. It's kind of slow. There's not very memorable kills or memorable characters. so it might not be for everybody. I do recommend grabbing it though. Simply, if you love slasher films, this is one that you're going to want to check out. It's kind of the lower tier, under the radar slasher, and honestly, I like the special features. First of all, you get a director's narrative with the director, who's only directed one film. He does kind of talk through the process of making Satan's Blade. It was a very interesting and intriguing interview. He was kind of an interesting and awkward person. I feel like he didn't really know what to say at times, which kind of just added to the charm, like, of the character who made this weird 80s slasher film. I thought that was a great interview. And then it also has a director's interview where he's kind of remembering Satan's Blade, and he's pulling up all his posters and Fangoria issues, and that was just really cool. Anybody who's a collector of horror films and horror stuff would appreciate this, because he kind of goes through. One thing that I found kind of funny is the Japan or Asia, one of the Asian countries or something like that, European countries, their poster for Satan's Blade was actually like a cropped version of the Maniac poster, which I found hilarious. You can also find the score on the disc. There's a little minute-long clip that just kind of plays the score, which is actually a really solid score. I felt like it added a lot to the film. Then, of course, you have a few different home video scenes that were for the Dutch and Japanese versions of the film. I will say one thing about the special features. I feel like they are badly produced. I'm not sure if all of films themselves produce these special features, or if they ported them from the internet or a website or somewhere else, but they are very low quality. And in 2015, when the industry standard is set so high now, the camera and the microphones that they used for these special features was very low quality, and it was a little bit disappointing. So I do think that the special feature game does need a little bit of a step up in terms of production value. It's we kind of expect a little bit more in the industry in general, and this is definitely not where the bar is set. The special features on here are definitely lower. Overall though, cool disc, a lot of cool stuff on here. I would have liked to maybe see a commentary. I know the director did tease about possibly making a Satan's Blade 2. I thought that was neat. That, all these years later, he was found sort of a new interest in filmmaking again. He is filming some kind of cop film, and he kind of likes the idea that people are interested, and he does seem like the type of person that just wants to share what happened. He seems like he was very proud of what he was able to do, and I like that about the guy. Overall, very, very fantastic release. I did enjoy it very much. The film itself is not that great if you don't like slasher films. Like I said, it's a 5 out of 10, but there's some decent special features on here. Definitely worth picking up. So definitely grab Satan's Blade. I do recommend a buy on that one.